Welcome to the Collide Kids Podcast, hosted by Christen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey, y'all, welcome to the Collide Kids Podcast. I'm your host, Christen Clark. The Collide Kids Podcast is a show for kids and families where we learn together how life and faith collide. I'm so glad you're listening today. Hey, before we get started, I just want to give you a little heads up about the podcast schedule. If you've been around here for a while, then you're probably already aware that every year since I started this show back in 2020, I always take some time off during the summer, as one does, because the summer is a little crazy, just with practical stuff like camps and vacations and travel and all the family activities. So that's one of the reasons that I do this. But also the biggest reason is because I really believe in the importance of Sabbath. Now, if you've heard the word Sabbath before, you may associate that with Sunday and resting and taking a really good Sunday afternoon nap. And I do love my Sunday afternoon nap. But Sabbath, I think, is so much bigger than that. It's about intentionally laying down our productivity and trusting in God. God commanded his people to take a Sabbath because he knew they would try to work 7 days a week, but it's not good for us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so he wants us to take that break, to pause, and to trust him enough to stop. So all that to say, we do have a couple more episodes lined up before summer break, but I wanted to let you know what's coming and why. And then, Lord willing, we'll be back again in the fall. So I'm excited about all the things that God is going to do in my heart and mind. And I use that time to get ready for the next season. And it's always a blessing to me. So I hope that you guys will pray for us and not forget about us. Okay. You got to come back and listen when we restart in the fall. Well, today I am joined by my neighbor. I found out we live in the same town. Her name is Robin Frederiksen. She is the founder of Love Well brand, a faith-based apparel company rooted in Philippians 1:9. Love Well is about carrying your faith into everyday life and choosing to live grounded in love, patience, identity, and truth. Robin started the brand in one of the hardest places a parent can find themselves, a middle school hallway, after her daughter experienced bullying. What began as two simple words written as a reminder to respond with kindness instead of hurt eventually grew into a company and a message that has impacted so many people. In today's conversation, we're going to talk about the heart behind Love Well. We're going to talk about sharing your faith. We're going to talk about what it looks like to own a clothing company and what it looks like to live out what we believe in everyday life. So let's jump into my conversation with my neighbor, Robin Frederiksen. Well, Robin, I am so excited to have you on the Collide Kids Podcast today.
Hey, Kristen, I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is so fun. Would you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
My name is Robin Frederiksen, and I am the owner, along with our family, of a company called Love Well brand. We have a line of clothing, mostly, and accessories that every piece of it is about loving well. And we are in our 10th year, which is a little shocking that we've been doing that. But we, as a family, really just have loved sharing that message with people. As our world keeps changing, it's just been amazing to watch it touch people in a multitude of ways. That's mostly what I do, along with being a mom and a wife and all the fun things that I get to enjoy as far as family is concerned.
That's awesome. I love that. Yes. And I am wearing the merch today. I have a very comfortable, cute sweatshirt that says Love Well that I love. It's so comfy. So I'm excited to talk with you about this. But before we do that, because this is a show for kids, I always ask my guests to tell me a joke. So do you have a joke or something funny you want to share with us?
Sure. You happen to know why the clothing brand didn't go to church?
I don't.
Because it had a lot of hang-ups.
Oh, that's good. I like that one. It did have a lot of hang-ups.
That's a
good.
true mom joke.
That's a good one.
Unlike the dad jokes we put up with.
That's right. That's true. A lot of people claim dad jokes, but let's get some mom jokes in here.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. Well, first of all, I do love my sweatshirt, by the way. And I was telling you earlier that my daughter was like, that's actually cute. So, I'm like, okay, stamp of approval from my teenage daughter, which is a good thing. Would you tell us a little bit about how you started? Well, why? Why did you want to start a clothing company? Let's start with that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because we didn't really want to start a clothing company. Yeah, so when my daughter, who was a tad bit younger, she was in middle school, she was experiencing bullying, which as a mom and as girls out there know, it's just, and guys, that's not uncommon. It happens. Right. People aren't nice to people, and sometimes that is very hurtful. So in that, she wrote "Love Well." She wrote those words as a reminder to herself how to respond because she did not want to respond in a negative way. So she was writing them everywhere. And of course, we as a family were very in tune to that. Well, go forward just a tad bit. And her and I were going on a mission trip together. And I happened to be printing shirts for other things. And I said, we should just put that on a shirt to raise money for our trip. That is where Love Well began. So the actual start was her handwriting. It wasn't just some words typed, and it had meaning for her. From there, like I said, we didn't have the expectation to really go forward, but we're in our 10th year, and I think God continues to have different plans for us.
That's right.
People kept responding incredibly positive. We went on our mission trip to the Philippines, and it was there that I think God really shook us up when he introduced us to all of these small children, which were not well taken care of, did not have a lot as far as means and clothing and food. And they loved easily, and they loved us well. And it was like, this is not hard. This should not be difficult. If loving well has nothing to do with what you have. And it has everything to do with your heart and how you treat other people. And so it really became somewhat of a mission for us to be able to share that with people. And Love Well, many of our products have Love Well, period. Well, the period is intentional. Done. It's simple, people. You don't need a lot to be able to love well. Our hearts have always been, how much can we give back to people going on mission? How much can we give back to people loving well? And so that is also part of what we do.
And I love that came from just a really difficult time in your daughter's life. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, going back to she was experiencing that bullying, because like you said, a lot of people experience that. It's really hard. Sometimes it's coming from like adults are bullying each other, and then kids are dealing with that. So what does that mean? Like, why did your daughter feel like Love Well was the response she wanted to have to bullying?
Well, some of it was, I think, a reminder to her that fighting against that or bullying back was not the response that she knew was a Christian-based response. And she was very much grounded in that. And so writing that so many times and writing it everywhere was just really for her at the time. It wasn't really to broadcast that to other people like you should and you should. It was more, how should I respond? I should turn the other cheek. I should love well. It needs to be a reminder to me. And some of that also came from Scripture. And it actually is in Philippians 1:9, the Message. It says we should love and love well. Like that is what God is calling us to do.
Yeah, I think that's so good that it's not just to love, it's to love well. Like to do it above and beyond. And like you said, there's a period there. So it's not love well, except for when it's like this, or except when the circumstances work out perfectly. It's no matter what. We're just going to love and love well. I love that. That's so good. What do you guys make? Like, what are some of the products and like sweatshirts? I know you have sweatshirts.
Yes,
what else do you have?
Well, we have, this is my newest version of, one of the amazing things I get to do, but also one of the most difficult things I get to do is try to make things for everyone. And that is a very big challenge when we're talking about comfortable, fun clothing, which is part of what our mission also is. So trying to make something for guys and girls from a very young age all the way through grandmas and grandpas. I think the premise of our company is twofold. One, we print a message that people attach to. It's easy to wear. They like it being somewhat bold, but not overly bold to have conversations. My challenge is also that it is on comfortable, soft, new, different clothing. Because if you think about it, think of a company who has a message, like one thing that, we do print a few different things, not just love well all the time. We've done agape. We've just launched a new line, we're going to call it, that is Jesus loves well. And so we do some of that, but over a 10-year period, we have customers who have closets of love well. And the reason they have that is because it's something different and it's comfortable. So it's kind of people, that's my challenge, but that's what we do. We try to keep it on relevant, comfortable, soft, fun clothing that spans children to grandparents.
That's awesome. I love that. And I think it's really important for me. Like if I'm going to wear something, it needs to feel really good.
Exactly.
So like when I go that's why it's hard for me sometimes to shop online because I need to touch it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So so to know that a company is dedicated to making comfortable clothing that is different and also has a really great message. Tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day job looks like. Like, what do you have to do do you get to just go to stores and pick out things, or are you more the printing, or is it all just paperwork? What do you do?
Oh, yeah. So I do have the support of my family. So I have my daughter who helps me with design. She'll talk to, I'll say, what about this? What about this? We have those conversations. And my son, who also helps, my husband always helps with moving and doing that kind of stuff. However, I'm kind of the chief cook and bottle washer, as they say.
Got it.
And so my daily life really is continuing to try to source those items that I think are new, different, comfortable products. My job is difficult, like you said, because I tend to buy online. I don't spend a lot of my time getting to touch the stuff. However, once you find those companies, it's a little bit easier to make that, to buy. Just like you, if you bought, now that you love your Love Well shirt, you can go online and buy, and it'll be soft.
Right, exactly.
That's a thing. So I spend my time doing that. I also spend my time kind of shuffling a lot of what should go on this product, what should go on that product, coming up with new designs. And the colors and the combinations and all of that does take a bit of time. And then I actually am just super excited to say that I have a very small local printer person who embellishes from that. We also do embroidered stuff. So I have a couple of different people, but they're all small local shops. And I love that. So I load stuff in my car and I take it to be printed or I take it to be embroidered and, specify all of that. And then I I'm just kind of roll up my sleeves. I have to price things and I have to put tags on things and, inventory and organize. And I do have students who help me all the time to do that. I pay them part-time to do stuff, but mostly I'm just doing that.
It's yeah.
On top of that, we do markets. We do street markets where we get to see people, which is such a fun, but it's hard work, but it's fun work. So people get to hear our story live. Sometimes they don't know what it is.
Right.
They also get to touch things and feel things and get excited about the softness and the new styles and that kind of stuff. So we do those very heavily in the fall towards Christmas.
Okay.
It's a super busy time for us. And then the spring. So right now I'm kind of cooling off to get prepared.
Going into summer mode. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, did you work in clothing or anything like this before you started this company?
No, I did not do any of that. I did for a time work with another woman where we did custom clothing for some small sports teams, which is where it kind of introduced me to how do you do it, that piece of it. But no, this was my, our first adventure. And like I said, Kristen, all throughout this, we just kept letting God lead us. Like there were days when you would go, okay, this is hard. And then he would just kind of giggle and go, yep, I get it. But look at how great this is. You know, look at how amazing you've been received by, all the people you saw today. And the multitude of stories we get to hear about how these two words impact people or impact conversations that they have. There have been so many people who tell us that, they would have a situation where they were about ready to respond and they looked in the mirror and they saw they were wearing their Lovewell shirt.
Yeah, I guess you can't cut anybody off in traffic or like throw a punch when you're wearing a Lovewell shirt.
Yeah, they're like, okay, God, you just reminded me that I should be nice and respond in a very kind manner.
That's good.
So, we get to enjoy all of that.
Yeah. I also love that it is a faith-based type of phrase, but it's not overtly faith-based. So like this could apply to a lot of different things. So tell me a little bit about why you chose to kind of go that. I know you have a product now that says Jesus loves well, but for people that, don't necessarily want to just wear everything that's Christian all the time, what would you say for that?
It was very interesting. We knew that Lovewell was a message that was very broad, and we do have tons of customers who are not Christians necessarily and don't necessarily want to wear anything that said this is in the Bible or not in the Bible, or, they're just not those people. However, it is such a strong message, and I think it got even louder when we went through a lot of the COVID years, when we had a lot of difficulties in people understanding, what someone else felt and what, the situations they were in. And it was very clear that people needed to hear Lovewell. People needed to understand that it's an easy thing to do. Of course, it's not always easy to do that, but it's not required for you to have any big skill. It's not required for you to have a map of what I should do when I should do it. It's really just simple as far as how you treat someone and how kind you are. And I think that has been really the root of this messaging from the beginning, is more about treating people the way you want to be treated, with kindness and love. And that doesn't have to be a loud Christian message. It has spawned those conversations well, where did that come from? And, what do you mean by that? And so many people get to have those conversations, but also so many people just get to be reminded that we need to just be kind humans and treat everyone by loving them well.
Absolutely. And like you said, even though it's not an overtly Christian or faith-based thing to do, it still is a message from the Bible, like kindness and goodwill and doing kindness to others that you would have them do to you. That's from the Bible. So like these are biblical things. So what would you say it means to wear your faith? Because we've talked about how this becomes a conversation starter. So how does that go? And how can we share our faith when we're wearing something like this?
I think wearing your faith is just having the inside come out, wearing something that you enjoy, that reminds you of what you believe and what's in your heart, I think makes it so much easier to have someone approach you and have a conversation when they say, oh, I really like your shirt. Oh, that's interesting, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just say, oh, I really like that shirt. And most people are like, well, thank you. And then where did you get it? Or how that conversation starts. But wearing your faith really is just about, like I said, bringing your inside out and allowing people to approach you and treating them with, love and kindness when you do that. My son, when he was younger, when he was 18, he wanted to get a tattoo. And as wanting to be the cool mom, I said, okay, well, I'm going to get a tattoo with you. So
I love that. That's awesome.
Tattoo, I decided that I wanted the words tetelestai. And tetelestai is a Christian message. It's Jesus' last words on the cross, and it means it is finished. Well, this was totally, I did not do this on purpose, but it definitely made that light bulb go off. I have had more people have conversations when you ask me about tetelestai because they don't know what it is, and so it makes it a conversation starter, right? And so I wasn't intentional, and Love Well wasn't really that intent either, but it has that same effect. It has that's an interesting message. What does it mean?
Yeah, that's such a good idea. And I think when I see a shirt or somebody that has something, I go look it up. So if I can't talk to them, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go Google that and figure out, okay, what does Love Well mean?
Yeah,
that's interesting. Tell our listeners where they can find these wonderful clothing pieces.
We do have a full store online. It's lovewellbrand.com. Yeah, we would love for you to go there. It's constantly changing. It's, we have sale things. And you can read more about us and more about the things that we do, as far as our giving and our support for other people. We are local in Georgia. And so you can also find out where you can find us. If you happen to be in our area, you can find us live.
Yeah.
So that is all on lovewellbrand.com.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was so great. I loved hearing your story, and I love that you guys are doing this and teaching us all to hold ourselves accountable and to love well. So thank you for doing that. Before I let you go, I always ask my guests to tell me a memory from when they were a kid. So what do you want to share with us today?
The memory I love, which really is translated to all of what we're talking about, is my dad always had nicknames for every one of my friends. So he always had some nickname for, if you came through the door, you had a nickname. And what I used to love that he decided those things because he also would tell all of my friends that came around, once you come through this door, you are part of our family. So you just make yourself at home and just, we're not really going to wait on you a whole lot because you're part of our family now.
Right.
And it was just, it was kind of that just gentle, make yourself at home. We love you. Join in, and not making people feel unwelcome or awkward. It was just, it was such and honestly, I think that's just part of my DNA and what I love to do as well.
I love that. Good old dad.
Good old dad.
What were some of the nicknames he gave your friends? Were they any crazy ones?
Oh, things like mutt or, nothing that was that attractive all the time. My brother was nicknamed Buck because he was teething on the furniture. So, it was things like that.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. No, nothing I can think of that's just crazy, but they weren't normal. That's for sure.
That's so fun. I love that. That's great. Well, thank you so much again for being on the show today. It was great meeting you. I'm so glad we got to hear your story today.
Thank you. Thanks, Kristen.
That was so fun. I love this brand and just the story behind it. I love that I get to learn things like this on this show. It's so fun. The words love well came from a really hard moment in her daughter's life. And that experience of being bullying, she found herself writing love well as a personal reminder to respond with love instead of hurt. And I think we all need that. And now these words can be a reminder to others to encourage a positive response whenever you're facing difficulty. And Robin said, because the message of love well is so broad, anyone can wear their stuff and start a conversation, or they can just wear it and then it means something to them personally. I love that this company is so passionate about not only putting this message out, but also helping other people and mission projects and mission-driven programs that put love into practice. So a portion of every purchase supports these mission efforts. And I just think that's so cool when you get to contribute in that way. Well, if you'd like to learn more about the company and check out their amazing apparel and products, go to lovewellbrand.com. And also, Robin was so generous to offer the Collide Kids podcast listeners a discount code. So use Collide20 to get 20% off site-wide at lovewellbrand.com. And we'll be sure to include that on our social media posts and on our show notes so you can find that really easy and just click and purchase and support these mission programs. I just think that's so cool. Well, this has been such an amazing conversation today. It's been a challenge, I think, for me, a good reminder that as I'm wearing my Love Well shirt or just as I'm out in the world, I need to be showing love wherever I go and setting a good example and making sure that my actions back up the things that I say about my faith. So I hope that was challenging for you. Maybe that's something you and your family can talk about, and just trust that God is going to use this in your life in special ways. Well, thank you so much again for listening today, and we'll see you back for another great episode of the Collide Kids podcast. Bye. If you loved today's episode, share it with a friend and follow us on social media at Collide Kids Pod so you don't miss what's next. You can find more episodes and resources at collidekidspodcast.com and leave a quick rating and review that really helps other families find out about the show. Thanks so much for being a part of the Collide Kids podcast. And in case no one has told you today, God loves you so much. See you next time. You know, raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code CollideKids to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app.